Hey, what's up, guys? Chili from O-Town. Today I just want to go over a little bit of dice terminology that dice controllers or dice influencers, beginners, or novice use. And if you're not using some of this terminology and you are getting results that you don't know how to interpret, maybe you should consider learning more about this terminology and how to interpret it. So the three things that we want to cover today is on axis, explosion, and implosion. That's the three words that we need to cover in today's informative video. So the word on axis means the results that you would get when you throw your dice. You want your dice to rotate in a manner that never produces what's on the side of the dice. So let's look at the six sides of the dice and get a name for each. You have the top, which is the number that appears when you have the dice sitting on the table. You have the front, which is the face that is facing you, and I have the dice facing the camera, which the dice is facing you. So this die, you have a top six, you have a 5 facing, then you have the bottom, which would be on the opposite side of the top, of course, apparently, which would be a 1, and then you have the back, which is again opposite side of the front. So I'm just going to rotate this 180 degrees so you can see the back. So we have a 2. So let's look at the sides now. You have the left side, which is over here. There's a 4. You have the right side, which is over here. There's a 3. So there's all 6 sides of a dice. There's all 6 facings of a dice. We have the top 6. We have the 5 front. We have the 1 bottom. We have the 2 back. Then we're back to the top. There's the right side is a 3. The left side is a 4. Okay, so now that we've determined what each facing is called, now we will talk more about on axis. So on axis, now let's look at the second. Okay, so this is your left die. You have 2 dice in the craps can. So you have the left die and the right die. So now notice on my left die, on the left side we have a 4. On the left side of the right die, again, we have a 4. I have to rotate those counterclockwise for you to see the left side. Alright? Now if I rotate both dice clockwise, you see the right side. Both of them show 3. So these dice look just alike. So there's the front facings are the 5, the bottom facings are both 1s, the back facings are both 2s, and the top facings are both 6s. If that's set there. So now, on axis would mean something to the effect like this screwdriver. If I could run this screwdriver straight through the dice, like this number, and it come out the other side, and then I roll this screwdriver just continually like this, like an axis does on a car, these dice would rotate in this manner here. Just continuing to rotate. You see we have the 6 up top, the 5s, the aces, the 2s, we're back to the 6, back to the 5, back to the aces, back to the 2s, and just so forth. So that would be an on axis. So when you pick these dice up and set them and throw them, if you get any of the facings that we just talked about, the top, the bottom, the back, or the front, you would have an on-axis die. If you were to get a result that come from the side of the dice, of either die, that particular die would be what we refer to as off-axis. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper, and let's talk about now that we've kind of covered what on-axis is. Let's talk about what the words implosion and explosion mean. Now, we have to talk about these two words individually but we have to consider them together, because you can't explode. The explosions are when the dice rotate apart from each other this way. That would be an explosion. An implosion, let's go back to starting. Now there's your 6, 5, 6, 5. I'm going to move them out some so we can see an implosion. An implosion is when the dice fall towards each other and turn in that manner. So now, when I say you have to think of them individually, but you have to think of them together, you have to think of them together because, as what I just demonstrated, both dice do something different to cause an implosion or an explosion. It's not simply they both turn to the right for an explosion, or they both turn to the left for an explosion. It's not simple like that. The left dice has to turn to the... Okay, so we're going to look at just at the left die now. The left die is on a 6-5. If it, what we refer to as implosion, that means it turned toward the inside, it produces a result of a 4. In order for the right die to produce a result of a 4, it also has to turn to the right, but this right die will be turning toward the outside. So that's actually an explosion of the right die, where the 4 result on the left die is an implosion. So let's go back to starting results. Starting set, 6, 5, 6, 5. Let's show you what an explosion is for left die. So an explosion for left die, the dice would have to turn towards the outside one time, or turn toward the outside like that, and result in a 3. That result right there will be an explosion of the right dice. Explosion of the left dice. If we look at the right dice to get and we had a result of a 3, notice what it does. It has to turn towards the inside, so that would be an implosion. If it turns toward the inside, so if either dice turns towards the inside, it's an implosion. And if it turns toward the outside, it's an explosion. Okay. So to try to make that a little less complicated, that's why I said you have to consider these dice together, but separate at the same time. Because to consider them together, you just say they both, this one fell to the inside, this one fell to the outside. That's a different word. That's a word that we refer to as drift. We're not going into drift today. We're just showing you basically what an implosion, an explosion, and an on-axis result is. So you have to consider these individual, because these dice are not pinned together with this screwdriver, as I demonstrated a few minutes ago. If I could run the screwdriver all the way through there, and then if we threw them, the dice would always stay on axis. We would never be able to see a side number. That's not the case. So when you throw these dice, it has its own axis. This dice has its own axis. You have other words, as I mentioned, drift, single pitch, double pitch, secondary hit, primary hit. We have that other terminology, but we're not going into that today. We're only referring to explosion, implosion, and on axis. So we have to consider each individual dice as on axis. So when we make our set and we pick the dice up and we throw them, whatever the result is for each dice, we call out the left dice first. So let's assume that we use 6, 5, 6, 5, and we throw the dice. Okay, and there's our result. Let's just claim that that's our result. So we have a 2, 6, 8. That's how we call that column. We always call the left dice first. When you're using 2 different colored dice to practice with, it's easy to see this result in column. When you may be at a table where there's one single colored dice, for example, like this, you have to have more of a hawk eye so that you can watch that left die. You can watch it hit the back wall, and you can watch it bounce and stop, and then you call it first. So if we had a result like that, that would be my left die. I would call 1, 3, 4. So let me get those red ones off and go back to the blue. So here we are. We have a 2, 6 as our result. So let's figure it out how did we get to a 2? Okay, if our starting dice was a 6-5 on this dice, and we ended with the result of a 2, look, that's on the back. The 2 is on the back of that dice from the starting position. So the result of this die is on axis. Look at this dice. Remember our starting position? 6-5. So again, this die is on axis. So both of these, that would be our starting position, 6-5, 6-5. Our results were 2, 6, 8. So both dice are on axis. Let's start it back over, 6-5, 6-5, and give another random throw and just see. So this time we have a 1, 4, 5. So how did we get to a 1? First, consider where was the 1 in the starting position. If you remember, 6-5 was our dice set. So let's first look where the 5 is. Let's line it back up to where you're at. Now, how is the 1? Where's the 6? You have to find where's the 6. So the 6 is there. So again, see where the 1 is? From the starting position, it was on the bottom. So again, front, back, top, or bottom, from the starting position is the on-axis roll. So this dice ended on a 1, so the left dice is on axis. The right dice, we started with a 6-5 right here, and we ended with a 4. So do you see how we got there? We went from 6-5, and the final result was a 4. So that right die exploded to make a result of a 4. Now, I'm hoping that I'm making sense here. Let's do it again, just to show one more example. We have a 6-5, 6-5 starting position. The top is your first number you call, and then the facial. So the left dice, this dice set will be called 6-5. Then you move to the right dice. You call the top number and then the front number. 6-5. So that's how you call your set. Once your throw is complete, like this time we have a 4, 1. You always call your left dice first. 4, 1, 5. That's how you call your throw. You call the left dice, the right dice, and then the combination. 4, 1, 5. All right, so how did we get to the 4? Starting position was 6-5, but the finishing position result was a 4. So notice what happened to this left dice. It had to roll one time this way. That is called an implosion. When the left dice, when either dice roll toward the inside, it's implosion. When either dice roll toward the outside, it's explosion. So again, this dice started 6-5, ended with a top as a 4. So the left dice imploded. Let's look at the right dice. Starting position was 6-5. Where's the 1 on this dice? The 1 on this dice is on the bottom. So again, this dice, if you have a result that's from the top, the bottom, the left, if you have a finishing result that shows the top number, the bottom number, the front facing number, or the rear facing number, you have a result on axis. So this dice, right dice, is on axis. Left dice imploded. So that's how you would call that throw. You would say 4, 1, 5, left dice imploded. That's the terminology. Now once you get this terminology down, you then have to go into something deeper and figure out what caused this dice to implode. That's not what we're here for today. In order for you to be able to analyze your throw, interpret the results, and make the necessary corrections to produce the results that you want, you have to first know how these dice are misbehaving. If you don't know which way these dice numbers are whenever you set them, and you don't know how to read the results after you throw them, you definitely do not know what changes, what small tweaks you need to make in your grip, in your swing, in your pickup. You know, you have to know what the dice are doing wrong in order for you to correct them. So again, this is just an informative video there's a whole lot more to the terminology and to what happens with these dice, but today only, this is about the three topics: on axis, explosion, implosion. Now, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I hope I've made this kind of somewhat clear. I hope I did not confuse anyone. I really hope that I've made this informative video to where it's helping someone. And we have a group called Croups Chat. It's with an exclamation point. I've got it rolling along in the bottom of my video. I will put a link in the description below to that group. I encourage each and every one of you, if you love this game of dice, if you have something to share about the game of dice, or if you just want to make friendships and learn more about the game of dice, I encourage each and every one of you to come to the group, consider joining the group, and there's a lot of people on the YouTube channel that is in the group, or let me rephrase it, there's a lot of people that's in the group that have their own YouTube channels, and these guys have some amazing content. This group will help you grow. This group is open to everyone that has a passion for this game. So again, I just encourage you guys, if you want to come to the group, I'll put the link below in the description. And I hope I've made this video to where it didn't confuse anyone. And I appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys. You know, if you want to leave some feedback, if you want to comment, and you know, and I just encourage you guys to check the group out. And on that note, again, it's Chili from O-Town. I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching. I appreciate you guys that's out there. And on that note, dice are off. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.